Hello, my name is Maria Kamel, and I will be presenting on the names of the witch and on Agnes Sampson. In the article, Names of Witches by Max Dashu, we learn of the names of different types of witches from different religions and languages. One section of the article speaks of healing witches. In this section, the word herbolera is mentioned. This is a Spanish word meaning healing woman. This section of the article also mentions the characteristics that are associated with a healing witch. They had an immense understanding of what plants could be used to heal sickness and bind up wounds, as well as help along childbirth and purify the blood. They would brew together herbs and roots to make healing drinks and salves to be used on the body. In combining these medicines with ceremonial acts and other types of traditions, they created a practice which is now known as holistic healing or holistic medicine. During the reign of King James VI, between 70 and 200 witches were put on trial, tortured, and many executed, all just from the town of North Berwick and the surrounding area alone. King James had been traveling to Denmark to gather his new bride, Anne of Denmark, in 1589. And during his travel, his ship was caught in a storm so intense they were forced to turn back. He became convinced that the storm was the work of a witch who was trying to kill him and ruin his reign. When he returned to Scotland, he began the eradication of those deemed demonic. Scotland itself saw the death of over 4,000 people burned at the stake for accusations of witchcraft. Agnes Sampson of Scotland was a very prominent midwife and natural healer in the late 16th century. Her knowledge of herbal remedies and medical procedures relating to birth were so expert that people attributed it to her having supernatural powers. People traveled from near and far to have her heal them, and she traveled all over her town to assist women in delivering babies. She was known as the wise wife of Keith or the witch of Keith. In the 1590s, Sampson was accused of witchcraft and also of being in league with the devil, along with a group of about 100 others, also accused in the town of North Berwick. King James VI took special interest in Sampson's case, and she was interrogated before him and a council of his nobles. She was harshly questioned, but when she refused to confess, she was taken to a dungeon and tortured until a confession was made. She was shaved head to toe, deprived of sleep, and tortured for days through the use of a witch's bridle, which is pictured here on the left side. This contraption had spikes on the mouthpiece and was tied around the person's head and then stuck against a wall, so they were forced to be standing up for days on end. Because Sampson was convinced of her innocence, she refused to confess for days on end and only pleaded her innocence and begged to be released. Finally, she was made to confess after being tortured with the use of a garinet, which is pictured here on the right. This device tied a thick piece of rope or leather around the person's neck and was slowly tightened from behind until they couldn't breathe. After many days of torture, Sampson confessed to many charges made against her, all of which included treason, consorting with the devil, and witchcraft. She was executed by being tied to a stake and slowly being burned alive. However, some accounts state that she was hung and her body was burned. This brings us to the end of my presentation. Here is a list of references that I used to gather information for this PowerPoint presentation. Thank you so much for your time.